Hey, you guys, welcome again to another video. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to continue this discussion on the WNBA. And I was going to leave this alone. I'm going to leave it alone. But there's even more information I've come across that I found to be quite interesting. And it's really because of the fact, like I said, again, I'm really intrigued and fascinated about the business and the marketing side of it when it comes to the personalities and all of that other stuff. I don't really care about any of that. As I mentioned before, and I can continue to say it over and over again. I am one that I like sports. I don't follow it like I used to, in earlier years, but I still like it. But I like even more the business and the marketing side of it. And so that's why I'm very intrigued by this. But I also am intrigued by it because I see how conversations like this get way out of hand and they end up where black rage is being pulled on in order to push a certain agenda. And so, so that's really what I'm focusing on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not team anybody, just to be very clear on this. Okay. I'm a guy that likes looking at the numbers, looking at the facts and all that. And if you go back to the other videos that we've done, that is all I've done. I haven't looked at, like I said, again, I'm not wagging my finger at any particular player when it comes to their color or whatever. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? But there are certain factors that we have to look at in order to really fully understand what's going on here. Now, just a quick word about Caitlin Clark. I'm looking at her from a business standpoint. Do you understand? Now, I do understand, and I think we all understand that when we look at the WNBA, it's made up predominantly of black women. That's true. And black women who are very athletic and are extremely talented and have been the foundation and have made that WNBA, the league, what it is today. So there is, so we don't look down on them at all. There's no need to, because why you would be an idiot to do that, because these are extremely talented. These are the top of the class women athletes. You know what I'm saying? So Caitlin Clark coming into it doesn't change that. She's just coming in on the foundation, standing on the foundation of all these black women, mostly black women, who've made that league what it is today. Now, saying making the league what it is today, you have to take full accountability of what that actually means. And that's what we're here to talk about. We're not just talking about, you want to focus on the greatness, but you also got to focus on the other things too. You know what I mean? And that's how you have a truthful and meaningful conversation about topics like this. And so a good marketer or someone that's a strategist, when they are looking at someone like a Caitlin, number one, as I said in other videos, she's coming in. She already had a fan base, and a good part of that is due to social media. Well, basically her playing and the scoring and stuff that she was doing in college and all of that. She's had eyeballs on her for a very long time. She performed extremely well in college and all of that. And of course, naturally that brought over when she came over to the WNBA. Okay. Now, what are the factors that brought in all these ton of fans? And a lot of these fans that she has are white. Okay. And for some people, that's very problematic because only thing they're looking at is the color. We're not looking just at the color here. There's other factors to look at. Again, a marketer or strategist, they're going to look at the whole package. What is different about her? Well, we know that the obvious is she's white. Number two, she's a very good player. Again, she's not the only good player. There's other great players too. But for her, in her class, she stood at the top of the class. You can't take that away from it. It is what it is. But what is another factor that is being ignored here amongst mainstream media? It's the fact that she's a straight white woman. That's the difference. She's straight and she's white. Why am I mentioning the white factor too? The white factor is important here too, because WNBA, if they're honest, they are looking to that demographic to help build this league. Because as we pointed out in the last video on this topic, this league has been losing at the tune of $10 million a year, because they just don't have the money. We read an article where they talked about they couldn't even give tickets away for years because nobody was showing up. Now, in the last few years, that has slowly started to change before Caitlin Clark. But it's been an issue. It's been an issue for a long time. So when Caitlin Clark comes into the play, it's something on a whole nother level, okay? Because again, she's white and she's also straight. You cannot take that away from him. Why do I emphasize the straight part of it? Because when you look at the WNBA, and we're going to get more into this, what you're going to see is a good percentage of the WNBA, you have a lesbian culture. You have a very queer culture. And that's not just me saying it. I pointed to a player that actually acknowledged that. I'm gonna point to some other people in this video who are also acknowledging this as well. And it is what it is. So when you're talking about it from a marketing standpoint, you're trying to market here. You got this league that's trying to market to a demographic who have made it very clear that they have no interest in sports that combine gender issues with the actual sport. Do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, they like women's sports, they love men's sports, and they like them to be separate. They don't like any of this muddying of the waters. When you got, when in the case we're going to talk about is transgenderism, they don't want that in there. Okay, it's men and then there's women. Period. That's it. But when you start talking about, gay players that are homosexual, for example, I can't think of the guy's name, but I remember a few years ago, there was a gentleman that came out of college, a black guy, and they were building him up and saying, oh, he's going to be the first gay NFL player. Remember all of that? And it was a black guy, and they just made all this big drama about him and all this other stuff, right? And he was a decent player, and he didn't get picked until like later on, right? And then when he finally got picked, what happened? He was there with his white boyfriend, and they started tongue kissing or whatever it was. They had whipped cream all over the place. Well, you're marketing that to a demographic that they don't care for that. They don't go for that at all. And so he got into the league, and guess what? He found out. And so eventually he's not playing in the NFL. I think he went to Canada and tried there, and it didn't work out for him there either. So I don't know where he is now. But from a marketing standpoint, it didn't work out well for the NFL. It just didn't. You understand what I'm saying? Now, that's a male example, but I have some female examples that we're going to give in this video here. So, but anyway, I asked, in the previous video, I mentioned more about this demographic, just so you understand that I'm not just making things up. This demographic, again, white folks have made it very clear of what they like and what they don't like. So going to this right here, and I'll get to that in a moment. Going to this right here, I did a search again to find out what are all the organizations that are making a stance against keeping women's sports. And there's quite a few of them, and there's about 3 of them that I was able to pull up just like that. Here's one right here. This is the Women's Sports Foundation. And they go into it and they talk about what they're about, and basically keeping women's sports, period. Not bringing in anything else. All right. Here's another one. Keep Women's Sports Female. This is another organization. Same thing. They have a whole thing where they said we will not accept reduced athletic opportunities for women. That's a thing that's a cause I can certainly get behind, Here's another one here. The Independent Council of Women's Sports. Here's another one. So all of these organizations, if you start digging into them, these organizations are predominantly ran by white people. So these individuals, again, this demographic that the WNBA is looking to in order to help grow it, they have made very clear that when it comes to these nuanced gender issues, well, they're not really feeling that. Well, what makes up a good part of the DNA of the WNBA? It's queer. It's the queer stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what it is. But when you listen to a lot of these talking heads out here, they want you when they're going towards black people on social media, what they're communicating to black people is, well, these white people, they don't like black women. They don't like black women. See, it's a race thing. And so with black people, unfortunately, we're so emotional. We allow our emotions just to go forward and not stop and just think on just the few things I just presented to you. All of a sudden now we got to rally up and we got to protect Angel Reese and we got to protect so-and-so. Now, there are a few knuckleheads and dummies that are out there that are saying some racist stuff out there. You're going to find that anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? But for anybody to suggest that that is a representation of the entire white demographic, that is not true. And that's not accurate. It's not accurate at all. And so because, again, we can look at several examples of black females athletes that are doing extremely well and have large white fan bases. We can talk about the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus Williams. We can talk about Simone Biles. We can talk about Gabby Douglas. We can talk about Coco Gauff. We can talk about the women's track, U.S. Women's track. You have, they're legendary. You know what I'm saying? All of these different examples that I just gave to you are black women who have significant white fan bases, not small, significant. You know what I mean? I would argue in many cases, a majority of their fan bases are white in some cases, and now, do they have stories where they endured some level of racism? Yeah. I mean, what black athlete doesn't? Do you understand? But they were able to get through that. And the overwhelming amount of the representation of their fan base, they squash the haters. You know what I'm saying? So you don't pay attention to the haters, you pay attention to your base. And so the fan base of these black female athletes I just mentioned, a good percentage of them are white. So to make this argument that white people now all of a sudden it's becoming more refined in their racism. They don't just hate all black people now that are just hate black women. That's a ridiculous argument to make, and it doesn't stand on anything. It's just an emotional based thing to try to get black people all charged up on something without looking at the actual facts. And that's what we're here to try to do so that you can see for yourself. Now, I was on Twitter and I came across this individual here. Her name is Val Whiting. Now, Val Whiting, she is, let me go ahead and pull this up. She used to play for the WNBA. And let me get this article up here for you. And here it is right here. And, it says right here, this is her Twitter page right here. She's an author, mom, SB finalist, the ABL, WNBA alum. She used to play for Stanford, all of that. I mean, the woman is successful. You know what I'm saying? So she should know her stuff and all of this. So, and I think she kind of coaches, if I'm not mistaken now. So she's, so when we have these conversations, you listen to the people who are in it, who have experience in it, right? So we're going to look at everything we're going to look at some key things that this woman said. So what I'm going to do now, let me go ahead and pull up a tweet that she posted that I found to be very, very interesting. Let me see here. Scroll down here a little bit, and then I'll bring it back on the screen. Okay, here it is right here. Okay, here we go. All right. So here's the tweet that she just posted just recently. So let's go ahead and read it. And there's some things in here that I find very interesting. So let's go. So she said fans, quote unquote. Okay, well, I'll read what she was responding to. So she referenced this person, Joe Eagle. I don't know who he is. I think he's some random tweeter. Okay, he's got 9 followers. Okay, so this guy's a nobody or girl or bot. We don't know who this is. This person has 9 followers. Okay. And so she's quoting somebody that's got 9 followers to make it a whole statement that supposedly that this 9 follower person represents all white people. That's ridiculous. So let's read this quote. All right. It says, I repeat, the WNBA is full of angry black tattooed lesbians who are jealous and it's supposed to say of a straight white woman who's the star of the league. That is why she was left off of the Olympics and why she's being targeted by thugs like Kennedy Carter. Now, there's some things in there that are, that are true, but there's some things that's like, I'll just put that in a category, right? And the tone of it is off, and it will, and it easily incites somebody who's highly emotional, to jump off into some stuff, right? But to say that this nondescript person all of a sudden represents this demographic that we were just talking about, it's utterly ridiculous. You understand? But this is her response to it. And let's read it. She says, fans, quote unquote, like the one I quoted below, are ruining this beautiful game of women's basketball. This person that has 9 subscribers, he's ruining the entire game of women's basketball. Okay. Sometimes I wish Caitlin Clark never came to the WNBA. Wow, that's pretty something. Yes, she brings excitement, TV ratings, and sellout crowds. But she also has attracted the type of people who don't truly care about women's basketball, but only care about using her to push their anti-black, anti-queer narratives. Let's stop there for a second. Okay? Let's stop there for a second. Notice how she links together anti-black, anti-queer. Let's stop there for a second. Okay. Anti-black, anti-queer, queer and black. Do you have black people who are queer? Yes. But these are also 2 separate issues. I just gave you a list of examples of white people who, when it comes to women and black women in sports, they don't have a problem with it. So, but you're linking the queer part to it as well. So you're acknowledging that the WNBA definitely has a significant number of queer people, and this demographic who's already made it clear they're not with it. And so you got a problem with that. But I want you to continue to follow me because this gets a little bit interesting. Okay. Right-winged media outlets are villainizing. So now she brings politics in it. And not just her, but you have people who are the Caitlyn fans that are doing that as well. So it's the mess is happening on both sides. Right-wing media outlets are villainizing anyone who fouls her too hard or looks at her the wrong way. And I would argue, and I would add into this that you have people who are the Angel Reese people are doing the same thing. So let's keep it a full buck. But she's right. Her stands think she can do no wrong and criticize her teammates and coaches. They talk about growing the game, but only want one person to do so. Again, anyway, we are supposed to be in an exciting time for the WNBA. So why do I feel frustrated? Why do I feel sad? Why would you feel sad? I don't know. I'm confused. I also feel afraid. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. I fear for the players who have fouled Caitlyn too hard, the emotional abuse they will be subjected to. I fear that a fan will take things too far and hurt someone in person. I can feel the violence in the rhetoric that is being spewed. Now, all of this is being said off of a tweet from a person that has 9 followers. I just want you to keep that in mind. So now she's in fear that if someone fouls her too hard, then one of the black players, all of a sudden, they something may happen to them. Something violent may happen to them. I mean, this is how far this emotionalism is being carried out. And it says, I should be happy, right? The WNBA is getting attention. The league is growing. People are talking about it, but something just feels wrong. So in the midst where overall, there seems like there's a whole lot of excitement in the air when it comes to the WNBA. People are getting more engaged. Seats are getting filled. And yes, a big part of that in this window is due to the fact of what Caitlin Clark has brought to the table. Because again, she's the right combination. This is a white woman and she's straight. So, because other than that, then if it was a black woman that's straight, and there's been many black women in the WNBA that are very good, that are straight, but they have not brought the same energy as they have with Caitlin Clark. Why is that? Because now you're getting into the race factor. There's some race factors that's dealing with that. But to say that it's racism, I don't know if we can really say that's racism, because again, they've made it clear, that demographic has made it clear one more time, because I got to keep repeating myself. It's not that they have a problem with black female athletes. They have a problem with athletes that bring the gender stuff, the nuanced gender agenda into an arena that they feel that women should be women and men should be men. So to bring the race factor in it, it's not an accurate thing to say. It just isn't. Okay. There's no evidence of that, right? And so I should be okay. So I already read the whole thing, but notice how she's bringing in this. Oh, it could be something could happen. Someone can get hurt, or anyway, someone may go in there and shoot somebody or whatever. And I know she didn't say that, but that's kind of the emotionalism that she's planting out there. Again, based off of someone who has 9 followers, who could be anybody. That could be a bot. We don't know, but it's not fair, and I don't think it's correct to picture or to portray an entire demographic based off of that. That's ridiculous. Who in their right mind would do something like that? Let's see. Let's move on here. Okay, yeah. Let me show you this. Here's another example here, and I'm gonna show you. You know what? Because I got several things here. Hold on. Okay, so here so this is what I'm talking about. The demographic, this white demographic specifically, have made it very clear that, hey, this is not something they want. This is Brittany Griner. Now check out Brittany Griner. This is her. Oh shoot. Sorry. Go back. Okay, this is her right here with no shirt on, taking shots in the pool, no shirt on. Now, the people out here that are, riding people like Brittany Griner or whatever, not Brittany Griner, Caitlin Clark, and saying, she's got to do a better job in her PR when it comes to speaking out against, racism and all this other stuff. And, because little girls are looking up at her and all this other stuff. Okay, well, what do you think little girls who are straight, what do you think they have to say about this? What's the impact you think that this is going to have when little girls who are straight and want to play basketball? What do you think the impact is when they see something like this? Let's be honest. One more time, white people have made it very clear they ain't with this. Black folks, we'll say something, but it ain't really a firm stance. You know what I'm saying? It just isn't. So let's keep that honest. Let's go to another thing here that I was able to find. This is, okay, here's an article here. Again, I think I like challenges, and so this topic, it gives me challenges to look into a topic that I typically don't talk about on this platform, but I find it kind of neat. And that's why we're just kind of going into all of this. So here is another player. And something happened. This is about, I want to say 7 years ago. Well, a little over 7 years. This is back in September 2013. Okay, here's the title of the article. It says she's got game. The moment WNBA player kissed her opponent on the court. All right, let's read it. Okay. The WNBA playoff game between the Phoenix Mercury and the Minnesota Lynx took an unexpected turn last night on the Minnesota court. After a scuffle between Diana Taurasi and the Phoenix Mercury and Simone Augustus of the Minnesota Lynx, Taurasi, hope I'm saying her name right, shocked the crowd by planting a kiss on her opponent's cheek. Both players received double personal fouls for the heated exchange, but also had a sense of humor about their dance on the court. All right, here we go. And then it says, as far as me and Diana and the tango dance that we had, I always said she just wanted some of my deliciousness. Okay, did you hear that? Let me read that again. As far as me and Diana and the tango dance that we had, I always say that she just wanted some of my deliciousness, Augustus joked to reporters. Now, let's be fair here. Let's take a listen to, let's go to, let's look at the NBA. Now, the NBA, you had Magic and Isaiah Thomas. Anytime their teams played together, the Detroit Pistons and the Lakers, they had this thing where before the game, they would kiss each other on the cheek. People would kind of be looking at that and, and like scratching their heads or whatever. And to this day, I'm still like, I don't know, maybe there was something there. I don't know. What I'm saying? I don't know. But they didn't do that during gameplay. And I think for the most part, people did understand that was just their relationship. It wasn't anything particularly gay about that. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said, even though I'm like, me no know. I don't know. It could have been, you know what I'm saying? But all in all, it wasn't, especially during that time, gays in the NBA, if they were present, which I'm sure they were, it wasn't a public thing then. So largely people didn't perceive it as any kind of sexual tension. In this case here, not only this happened during gameplay, but there was a bit of sexual tension there. You know what I'm saying? And especially when you say, as far as Diana and the tango dance we had, I always say she just wanted some of my deliciousness. Now, I never heard Magic say that. You know what I mean? Or Isaiah Thomas say that. He says, I was just trying to make sweet love. It gets better. That's about it. Tarasi told reporters during a post-game press conference. And then it goes on. They said the outward display of affection left fans wondering if the kiss was just a joke or if it's meant something more. See, sports fans don't want to be processing all of that. They go there to watch a game. That's it. You know what I mean? The two players are not strangers, according to the announcers. The two have been playing against one another since they were teenagers. And let me see if it goes on. They just talk about other details, okay? And it's just minor details there. And this is her, Simone Augustus, and we're going to talk more about her, or she's going to talk more for herself in a moment here. I got a short documentary here where this is her and her wife. Again, these are issues that, traditional men's sports, they never had to deal with. So when it comes to marketing, it's a lot easier to market men's sports than when it comes to when you're talking to the WNBA, because now you got players that are dating one another, marrying one another. These are not issues that the NFL or the NBA had to deal with. So it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to sell this to a fan base that's made it clear that they're not interested in this. Do you understand what I'm saying? So anyway, let's move on here. Trying to cover a lot here in a short period of time here. Let me see. Now, there's a documentary. Let me see. Hold on. All right. So I'll just point to this article here. This is Monica McNutt, and she's another one that has given, has been going a lot of pushback against Caitlin Clark and all that. Like I said, again, I don't care. Making this personal and all that stuff, they're doing worse to the whole game and the league by making it personal. You know what I'm saying? And this woman is another one that, from everything I've been hearing, it's just this, you're not helping the game, by pushing this. And this is what she said here. Let me see. I'm trying to find it. Let's see if I can. It's not. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find what she said here. Because she also alludes to the whole queer thing too. Hold on, it's right here. Okay, here we go. It's right here. They said Clark's popularity has been described as a rising boat to raise all ships, organically drawing more eyes to the WNBA talents. McNutt has a problem with that. She does. McNutt's argument is that those watching the WNBA now have it all wrong by focusing on Clark and should instead focus on the traditional WNBA archetype. Well, like I said, the people don't want to focus on the traditional WNBA archetype. Well, what archetype is she talking about? Well, she's going to explain it. Black women, a large representation of queer women, Monica told Stewart. That's the archetype that she's talking about. So she's mad that the fan base that this woman is bringing, they are not in support of queer women. Well, that doesn't make, you're going to have to adjust just like everybody. You understand what I'm saying? If you want a larger fan base, this is what this individual is bringing. That is not saying that the other players aren't good players. But it's this one factor that I just keep hammering home that you're going to have to deal with. If you want a larger fan base, that has the money, you're going to have to accept it. If you don't like it, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? The league is just going to be the league. It's going to be what it's always been. Here's a documentary. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but there are parts of it that I want you to hear. I wish I could actually play it so that you can see and hear it. But I'm just going to play the audio just to keep it safe. Okay. This is a documentary that was done about Simone Augustus. All right. And I want you to hear her experience. Now, she's an all-star. She was an all-star, y'all. She was an all-star. This is going back like 7 years ago. She's an all-star. And unfortunately, because the WNBA, and I think I mentioned earlier, the WNBA, they, first of all, they are fully supported by, was a combination of investors, whatever ticket sales they're getting, and the NBA. And they're still losing money. They've been losing money at a tune of $10 million a year. 2024, this year, they are set to lose $50 million. That's with Caitlin, the whole Caitlin Clark thing. So that's why I said, people trying to get into this nitpicky, the blacks versus the white and all this stuff. Business is business. And all I'm looking at is the numbers. You know what I'm saying? If I'm seeing that my organization is set to lose 50 mil, I'm set to lose even more money. I ain't got time to be getting into this tit for tat stuff. I'm like, okay, what do we need to do to fix this? Well, if you go back to the previous video that we did on this, we went into the details as to why that's the case. And it's very important for you to see that so you can understand, because there's factors with that is why they're losing money. But things potentially could turn around. But these little things that we're talking about here, they're literally shooting themselves in the foot on their way to turning it around. That's my point. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play the audio. Okay. You're going to hear it, but unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see it. Okay. Because if I put it on the screen like that, I think YouTube, the people who actually own the documentary, they may have some problems with that. So let me play so you can hear some of the audio, and then I may skip around a little bit. Okay. So let's go. Okay. Let me turn this volume up here. Uh-oh. What's that playing? Hold on for a sec. Turn that off. Okay. All right, here we go. Let me play this here.
And this is just a small, rural town, but they're really into basketball, women's basketball. I didn't become aware of it until my junior, senior year in college, and I started to realize that the WNBA doesn't make as much money as people assume, or as much as we assume. I didn't know coming in as a rookie, it was only gonna make $40,000. Once we hired an agent, it was like, well, where do you want to play overseas? I'm like, overseas? It's not a lot of options that pay big money. And Russia is that one country that consistently pays big money when no one wants to go. It's not a pretty place with a beach and, palm trees everywhere.
So she had to go to Russia. She's a top tier player at that time. She had to go to Russia. That's how bad it was, in order to make a living, because, they are these are basketball players, but this is a full-time thing for them. So it was so bad that she had to go to Russia to make a living. The Russia that, the United States have been demonizing. And this is why Brittany Griner was over there. But she boogered that up by going over there smoking a joint in Russia. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, sis, but anyway.
The weather's cold, the people are cold, you kind of got to get adjusted to it. So some people prefer to go to other places like Turkey that are a little bit more Americanized and a little bit more friendly. My mindset was, I'm gonna get the money first, and then later in my career, I can decide to go to nicer places with warmer climates and enjoy myself then.
All right, let me skip this a little bit. So she is the person that produced. So she went over there, right? Now, a lot of people, even though, first of all, they at that time had a very tiny fan base. I'm talking about the WNBA, but she's an all-star. But in order for her to make a living, she had to go off grid, so to speak, and go to Russia, where literally a lot of people wouldn't even have known that had it not been for Carmelo Anthony. So this documentary that you're hearing, he did it. So the WNBA, a whole league, couldn't even do a documentary. Carmelo Anthony had to go and do it himself. You know what I'm saying? So it's Anyway, I'm gonna be skipping around
There's
here a little
nothing
bit.
more powerful.
Oh, of course. Hold on. This is a commercial here. Hold on. I'm just gonna play a few more minutes of this documentary here.
Every away game, you leave out that night, get on the train, get off the train the next morning at like 5, bus to the airport to catch a flight. It could be in another part of Russia or another part of Europe or somewhere like that. So
Anyway, I get a little nervous even when I'm playing the audio sometimes on this, but I'll just show you again so you can go check out the documentary. It's only like 14 minutes long. It's very short. Again, it's called the Second Jobs of WNBA All-Stars Simone Augustus in Russia. And she's not the only one. Like I said, there's many other of these WNBA All-Stars. Now, you are All-Star, you're top tier, but she had to go over there because she wasn't getting enough money. She wasn't getting enough money. And why wasn't she getting enough money? Because the fan base wasn't interested in seeing like what I just showed you on the screen. Where's the article here? They're not interested in seeing this. They're not interested in seeing this. You understand what I'm trying to say? They're not interested in seeing this. They're not interested in seeing, topless female athletes that are queer or whatever you want to call it, in the pool. They don't want to see any of that. Now, you may be cool with that. You may not have a problem with that, but the fan base these people are going after in order to help it sustain itself, they do. And you have to be, if you're going to have a fair and honest conversation about this topic, that part has to be brought in. And you're going to have to deal with that because, again, from a marketing standpoint, it's not like you can't compare it to the NBA or the NFL. You can't compare it because they've never had to deal with this. They've had to deal with the color barrier stuff. And then, fortunately, they've gotten over that or whatever. But when it comes to how many NFL players you hear talking about, yeah, me and my husband, we out here or whatever. Oh, there's another clip I want to show you. This is Simone, not Simone. This is Brittany Griner again. Here's another one that this happened just recently. Let me pull this up. Oh, where is it? I'll go to my bookmarks here. Yeah, I want to make sure you see this one. I almost forgot about this one here. All right, here we go. All right, so this is Brittany Griner. This is at a very recent press conference. I want you to take a listen at what she says here. Take a very close listen. And this proves my point yet again. All right, let's listen. Come on, bring it up. All right, here we go.
BG, I see you've got the post-game beer there. Are you in a celebratory mood, or what's the story behind the Bud Light there?
I just like Bud Light, so I just, have a beer after the game. It's Father's Day. I'm trying to celebrate. It's my day, so celebrate a little bit.
So she's saying that she's a father. If you didn't hear that, she and her partner or whatever, they're having a baby. How's that happen? But they're having a baby or whatever. So she's claiming to be the father, and so she's cracking open a beer and all of this. Again, I know y'all getting tired of me saying this. The demographic that you're marketing towards, they don't want to see this. They don't. So it's not about black women. They don't want to see black women make it and all this other stuff. That's a bunch of nonsense because there's too many examples of successful black women athletes that have huge fan bases of black folks, white folks, Asian folks, or whatever that like them for what they do without all the other agendas attached to it. And any athlete that tries to bring in that narrative, they end up failing. The woman that was leading the women's soccer team, she is another one. The mistake she made is not saying that she's talented, but the mistake she made was really trying to use that platform to push an agenda that the demographic, again, that's interested in watching and supporting that sport, they don't care about that. So it's set up to fail. So in conclusion, in this video, my goal is simply for black folks, especially if you're going to engage in this discussion, or any discussion like this, make sure you look at as all the facts as possible. And I know it's difficult for some people, but everything isn't just simply black and white. There's other things that you have to consider, to investigate and all that, because it's not that simple. And it's, to conclude to that, it's really not. And if you want a truthful and meaningful discussion, you're going to have to make sure you're bringing all these pieces to the table so that you can accomplish that. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for tuning in. And who knows, we'll probably be talking more about this topic in the future. Okay, well, listen, you guys take care, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for tuning in.